Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. So much for the Indians holding on to Francisco-Lindor for another year to see if they could make a run at the World Series. Apparently, the Dodgers bid on it. Now the talk is the Dodgers might be willing to give up their number 1 and number 2 prospects in the organization, infielder Gavin Lux and pitcher Dustin May, who are also the number 2 and 32 ranked in all of baseball. Now, I don't like it on the surface, but if they want to throw in center field, leadoff man, home run hitting Jock Peterson, then I'd consider it. As much as I don't like losing Lindor, how can you blame the guy for leaving? And I do trust Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff in getting full value from other organizations. I would like to see Lindor get one more year here, but I get it, even if the fans won't. The D-Man is here. More Sports and Les-Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine, it's a Wednesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les-Levine into its 24th consecutive year, seen exclusively on cleveland.com. Well, it's Wednesday night. That means the D-Man, Dennis-Manoloff, is here. What's going on?
Oh, just another dull
Wednesday
day in Cleveland sports.
Somebody emailed me, a friend of mine from who lives in Chicago now, and says, "You've got it easy. There's always something happening."
He or she is right. You said he, right?
Yeah.
He's right. I mean, think about this. We talk about OIC only in Cleveland. Only in Cleveland can you have, at this moment, a star in each of your, well, I use the term loosely where the basketball player is concerned.
You're okay.
But you have a star in each of the 3 majors that are in this town, the basketball, football, and baseball, under contract for multiple more years in Cleveland, and yet the rumors persist they're on their way out. Kevin Love with the Cavs, Lindor with the Indians, and Beckham with the Browns.
And you're right, they're not being forced out by their contracts.
No. Beckham's under contract through, 2023?
Well, why don't
Love's,
you just
first of or second of a 4-year deal,
why don't
and
you
Lindor's
just say,
got 2 more years
Mr.
of
Beckham,
control.
you are under contract till, I think, 23. Enjoy it. We've got nice amusement parks around here. We got all kinds of good stuff for you. I mean, do you feel a need to trade him just because he wants to be traded?
Listen, I think it's wise to move on from Beckham. I think that he's a different cat, and I think you're better served. It's just my opinion. I think you're better served if you move on from him.
So let me ask you this.
And see what you can get for him.
You got John Dorsey here.
Yes.
How did Dorsey not know that it might not be a good mix? That's what he's paid to do, right?
I think he was taking a flyer, and he was just absolutely blown away by the talent from afar, and it was a huge undertaking, but to me it just hasn't worked out. It hasn't looked right. Beckham, all the players and coaches keep saying everything's fine. They keep saying you guys don't understand. He's fine. But I don't think that's the case.
I'll tell you what he did do, and for a guy who doesn't want to be around, he made on the Chubb run the other day, he went all the way down the field and was throwing blocks all the way down the field. You don't see guys do that if they're on their way out or want to be on their way out.
I mean, but here's the thing, Les. The Jay Glazer stuff bothers me. Glazer being the very well-established Fox national reporter.
Right.
Glazer comes on the TV before the last game and says that Beckham has told opposing players and coaches, come get me. Why would Jay Glazer make that up? He has no reason to make that up.
No.
He doesn't need the Browns. So I'm going to assume he's telling the truth. If he's telling the truth, why would you even be doing that? Even in jest, why would you say that kind of stuff?
That's true, but a player, a coach or a GM can't go up to a player before the game and say, hey, we want to sign you or whatever. Why is it okay for the player to throw that out, but the team can't throw it out? Well, some kind of collusion, I believe.
Yeah, but it's just, I think it's unfortunate the way, I know it's unfortunate the way things have unfolded. Beckham has not been superstar by any stretch of the imagination for this team, and the team is 6-7 and about to be eliminated from the playoffs. And that's just football. That's just football.
That doesn't get into Lindor. Lindor, who has not said anything one way or the other of wanting to leave, but he's gone.
Yeah, and Lindor knows the reality, and so do the Indians, that it's going to require, and especially when you see what happened over the previous, 36 hours now, where Strasburg gets 240-something and Cole gets 320-something.
These are pitchers. Those numbers, that dollar figure will not hold up over the length of the time.
Well, you wouldn't think.
Cole's is what, 9 years? And what's Strasburg?
Cole 9, Strasburg 7.
7. Those don't hold up. Here you go. Garrett Cole agrees to a 9-year, $324 million deal with the Yankees. Strasburg agrees to 7 years. Right on the spot we are. $245 million deal with his home team, the Nationals. And the previous record, David Price, 7 years, $217 million deal with the Red Sox that was signed in 2016.
And the Red Sox reportedly trying to move Price. So.
Well, these long-term deals, especially with pitchers, don't work out for the entire length of it.
Right, but that doesn't stop teams from, especially the rich teams, from the deep pocket teams, from throwing the money at it. Lindor and his people have to look at the landscape and think, all right, we're gonna get $300 million out of this at a minimum.
Correct, and not from
There's
Cleveland.
only a finite number of teams that can afford that. One of them is the Dodgers. That's why it makes total sense that the Dodgers would be the primary suitor for Lindor, because not only do they have the cash, but they have the prospects.
All right, so let's take a look at what supposedly Bob Nightingale's talking about. Gavin Lux, second baseman and a shortstop, pretty good numbers, 347 in AA and AAA, 26 home runs, 76 RBIs. Played with the Dodgers right at the end of the season, got a little cup of coffee, and that was in 2019. Hit 240, a couple of homers, 9 RBIs, and a couple of steals. He's the number 2 prospect in all of baseball, number 1 with the Dodgers. Also a pitcher that they could be interested in, Dustin May, a right-handed pitcher, 22 years old. Don't the Indians I know you never have enough pitching, but don't the Indians have as much pitching as anybody in baseball?
Yes, but I wouldn't have any issues with May coming this way. I just don't want it to be only May and Lux. I want other guys, including, you mentioned Peterson.
I mentioned
He'd be
Peterson,
a
left-handed
nice,
hitter.
A nice piece.
Excellent defensive player. He's got power and he hits for average.
Yeah, when I thought about a prospective Lindor trade I said minimum 2 guys who can play in the major leagues on beginning in opening day 2020.
Does Lux and May qualify?
I mean, I suppose they do, but I want like 2 position players. So Peterson would fit that bill if you add him to the mix.
Right.
I don't know where the line gets drawn with the Indians and with the Dodgers as to what can or cannot make a deal. But and don't be surprised either if there's somehow a blockbuster on top of a blockbuster where perhaps the Indians throw in Kluber.
In the same deal? In the same with the Dodgers?
Because you know the Indians would love to unload Kluber's deal, even though they
just
picked up his option.
Yeah.
I still think they'd like to get out from under the
Dodgers would do
$18
that in a minute. Somehow find a way.
They would have done it last year, but I think there are legitimate concerns about Kluber's health.
Right.
And I think teams want to see Kluber pitch first. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. I say the odds are against it. But
isn't that why the Indians picked up the option? So they could trade him? As backwards, convoluted as that seems.
I mean, yeah, because if they don't pick up the option, he walks away and they don't potentially get something for him. So, yeah, it would make sense.
All right, let's light up the phone lines at 216-575-0403. D-Man, I got so many numbers between 92.3 The Fan, my home number, my cell phone number of this show.
Have you ever given out your home number on
Accidentally. I got halfway through it and realized, whoa, time out.
And then you backtracked with 5555.
A lot of people don't know that there's no such thing as 555.
Go 5555.
I love it. 555-1212 is the number to call. Speaking of 92.3 The Fan, I will be there tomorrow and Friday. I'll be with Jeff Phelps tomorrow. Andy Baskin has a couple of days off. Then I'll go solo, D-Man. I'll try to see if I can do that on Friday.
Your solo shows are must listen. You know the quickies are coming.
4 hours
the
of
phone
them.
lines will be jammed. I mean, I have laughed so hard listening to you on the quickies that sometimes I've almost driven off the road. I'm laughing so hard.
Listen, I don't want to see anybody get hurt, but if I get credit for that, that's the best. I don't want you to get hurt now, but you can put it on your resume. I had a guy drive off the road listening to How Come Quickies.
10-2.
Actually, this is a true story. This is back in mid-'90s, and I'm doing How Come Quickies on WHK, and it's going on forever, and one's funnier than the next. And Sharon Hargrove, Mike's wife, Mike had just called and said, "I'll be home in a few minutes." And so a few minutes go by, and they go by, and they go by, and now Sharon is worried that something happened to Mike, right, because he hadn't shown up. She opens the door to the garage, and there's Mike in the garage listening. He says, "Shh, quiet. How come quickies are on?"
Of course.
That's a badge of honor, I got to tell you. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. The D-man, dennis-manoloff, is with us. Did you know that over $3 million paid out in the Ohio Lottery scratch-offs every day? Could you imagine that? $3 million every day?
No.
Give the gift of winning this month with popular Ohio Lottery scratch-offs like Holiday Cash, Holiday Lucky Times 10, and Merry Millions, all from the Ohio Lottery. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine, with new content posted each and every day. When we come back, we'll take a look at Baker Mayfield and his comments regarding the medical staff. How does that happen? Back in a moment with Dennis Manoloff. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Those are conversations that we've had, and so we've both acknowledged that, an 18-year-old Baker wasn't the all-knowing that he thought he was, and just having a conversation goes a long way.
Baker, we haven't talked to you since you went on Twitter after the game Sunday and apologized.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel the need to meet with anybody from that training staff?
Yeah, I had the conversations I needed to within our building. Like I said when I addressed it afterwards, the effect that those words have in the bigger scheme, the bigger picture, were not my intentions. And so the people within our building, like I said, know where I'm coming from. They know my frustration. They know that, if I was happy-go-lucky about everything, then we'd have a real problem on our hands. But I talked to the people I needed to, and so I'm confident in that and us moving forward.
All right, so Baker Mayfield under the gun.
Just checking to see if Lindor's been traded yet.
All right, let us know immediately.
Lindor alert.
It's just in for breaking news.
Yeah.
All right, so Baker Mayfield says what he says about the staff.
Yeah.
And so he may wonder, what's the big deal? You just say it and it goes out there. Well, I'll tell you what the big deal is. Today in USA Today, they ranked all the teams. They ranked 1 through 32 teams, and they make a quick comment about it. So they get, I think the Browns are 18th or 19th. And it says, so Baker has told us the reason that they haven't been to the playoffs since 2002 is because of the medical staff. That's what you're asking for, and that's what you get, and that's totally unnecessary.
He stepped in it, and he knew he stepped in it, and he was told, and he had to come back on Twitter and backtrack on it. When I initially heard that he had said that, I was on the post-game show on WTAM with Anthony Alford. I said, there's no way he said that. He did not say that, but he did.
He did.
And part of it to me is Baker trying to bend over backwards to please Odell Beckham Jr.
Should he get credit for doing that?
No, because this is the thing, and this is not I'm not trying to dump on Odell when I say this, but I guess I'm going to a degree. You cannot run your offense through wide receivers and expect to be consistently good in the NFL. And as part of that, you can't cater to them and try to make wide receivers happy. Because here's the news flash. You're never going to make them happy. Well, one of the ways you try to make a wide receiver like Beckham happy is you say, okay, Odell, I got your back. I got your back on the injury. I got you. Well, what is the injury? We don't know. We're told it's a sports hernia, right?
Well, we could have been told that 3 months ago.
Okay, well, remember back in camp when it began? He doesn't remember how, but he injured his hip, right? Between the injured hip and what he has now, which is, again, from him, a sports hernia. Right. No one else has said it.
Right.
Baker doesn't
have a doctoral degree.
Right. Baker has no business weighing in, but between those two, between the hip and now the groin, the sports hernia, was the game in Foxborough. Remember that game?
Yeah.
When Odell Beckham Jr. before the game was kicking field goals?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Well, allegedly, but it's been confirmed.
Oh, no, it's been confirmed.
Yeah.
What was he doing?
How about that he was
when he has an injury in the hip groin region, kicking field goals?
I have no idea.
In Foxborough.
And
for
how
fun.
about that he's worried about making sure Tom Brady gets his signature shoe?
I mean, it's all. If it's not one thing, it's another with Beckham. Now we're supposed to believe that his pedestrian for him production is largely tied to being injured. Well, what about during the Cincinnati game? I saw a go route where he didn't get the ball and jogged right off the field. So you're thinking, okay, well, he must be done for the day because his groins acted up, right?
He was
limping. Back in a few plays.
Yeah.
So which is it? Is he hurt or isn't he? And if he is injured, shut him down.
Okay, so fundamentally, you got Jarvis-Landry, you got Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say they're the same player?
It's unfair to Jarvis. I've lumped Jarvis in with Odell because they're
buddies. But in an
buddies.
X's and O's point of view, pretty close.
I mean, most people would say that Beckham is more dynamic than Landry, that he's capable of, the blowing the top off the defense more than Landry
is. Or the phenomenal one-handed catch.
At the end of the season, who's going to have more production this year? Jarvis-Landry.
And by the way, Odell Beckham is 14th in the league in targets. That's not horrible.
No, it's not. It really isn't, Les. And there are many reasons why Beckham is struggling, in my opinion, again, to his standards. Because an average receiver, okay, he checks that box, but you didn't trade for an average receiver.
No.
You traded for a game changer.
You touched on something.
Let me ask you this,
go
Les.
ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
But I am. Do you think any defensive coordinator this year has gone, oh, man, what are we going to do about Beckham? The only one I can think of is Wink Martindale in Baltimore.
I think
that
in the
first
beginning,
game in Baltimore.
I think until they showed what they had, I think that they were concerned about it. But the question I have is with Beckham, he hasn't done anybody any favors.
No, I mean, they say, the Browns players and coaches say that he's been a model citizen inside the walls.
All right, we'll go for that.
And, okay, fine. And on the field, he looks like he's giving his all, even if you deal with some of the arm flaps or the hands on the hips, standing by himself. He's a competitor, all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying that when the season is over, if it hasn't happened already, John-Dorsey's got to go, is this guy the right fit for our organization going forward? I don't think he is, because I think the Browns should build their offense. I was telling John in the pre-show meeting about they should build their offense around Chubb and Hunt.
Okay, but here's the thing.
problem with that is, according to Chris Rose, Hunt might not be here next year.
Might not be. All right, so here's the deal. You didn't trade. John Dorsey did not trade for Odell Beckham for 1 year.
Correct.
And he's signed for 3 more. Is that correct?
I mean, what is it?
I think
through
it's
2023.
Okay.
You have him under your
So
control.
why don't you? I mean, he's John Dorsey's the one with the leverage. Why don't you say, you play this out? We're going to give you 1 more year, and we're going to see if it works. Then we'll think about trading it in the next off season. Isn't that that's what I would do?
Yes. You would think that John Dorsey has the leverage. The problem is, in the 21st century sports landscape, not just the NFL, players have more and more power. They have more and more of a desire to go. If they have a desire to go somewhere else, they will apply the pressure until they go. It's hard to keep a disgruntled player around in the 21st century pro sports anymore.
But Dorsey's working for the Haslams. He's working for the ownership, and if you think he can still help you next year, I think you force him into it.
Right, but the question is, if you do build your offense around your running back or running backs,
you're in the
and
same
you
soup.
turn it into a power running game with a complementary quarterback, is Beckham going to be willing to go along with that?
Northeast Factory Direct. Alex started the business 20 years ago in his own garage. He had one piece of furniture, and he sold it, and he said, wow, let me see if I could expand on that. Look what he's done. He's got northeastfactorydirect.com and 3 great locations. They're just big, bare-bone warehouses filled with some of the same stuff you're going to find at the at the big box stores, but there's one significant difference. You're going to pay half price or less than half price, because he pays about 1/10 what the big box stores pay for rent. Check it out at East, West, and South. South, of course, in Macedonia. That's the new one. NortheastFactoryDirect.com. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. This Saturday, it's the Santa Sack Fan Appreciation Night, with drawings with a chance for you to win cash, gift cards, electronics, concert tickets, big screen TVs, and much more, and a visit with Santa from 6 to 9 p.m. And fan appreciation specials all night long at Northfield Park, where it's free admission, free parking every day. D-Man and I, Dennis-Manoloff, return in a moment. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get your basement ready for the holidays.
There was moisture in the basement. It ruined the carpeting. The smell was terrible. We didn't feel safe in our own basement, and that's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. For a limited time, get Nature Stone installed now and pay nothing until next year. Payments as low as $99 a month. No interest, no down payment. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
National Holidays expert Mary here with a list of holidays you won't want to miss. Get your Ohio Lottery Merry Million scratch-offs for National Donut Day, National Have a Party with Your Bear Day, Pickle Day, National Unique Talent Day, Take a Hike Day, and America's favorite, National Jukebox Day. Every day is a reason to celebrate. Grab a Merry Millions and other Ohio Lottery holiday scratch-offs today.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
We continue to try to put everything together from the standpoint of playing great complementary football. You know, I thought we did that the other day to a certain extent, with not the success rate that we wanted because we had some turnovers and things of that nature. But you know, we just need to continue just to play. Just go play the game and just do what you can, improve, and play the game on a play-by-play basis and not worry about the result. Just go play the play.
Does playing for each other become any sort of focus? I mean, that would be a mantra for any team any time, but given the choppy nature of the Brown season, have you sent out the message lately of let's make sure we're playing together?
Yeah, back in April or May. It's the same. The message hadn't changed. It only matters what's in the locker room. That's all the thing that ever matters. So of course they play together. They play together. They stay together. It goes back to when adversity hits, you're going to run together instead of running apart. And I think we've done a good job of that and maintaining that throughout the year because there has been difficult moments, and these guys have remained together and stayed together and have done well in the past, you know, month and a half. So when you hit situations like that, it can go either north or south, and you know we chose to go north with it.
You talked about how you've seen Baker improve and kind of how he handles everything about the position and stuff that goes with it. On the field, where do you think he's made the biggest strides?
I think he continues to identify pressures, and I think his eyes are getting better. And again, he's not a finished product. He's a, he's a second-year player. He's seeing more coverages this year. He's seeing different looks. He knows where he wants to go with the ball most of the time, and he does a good job of identifying and being able to communicate and understanding what we can do to attack certain instances. And so just his overall knowledge and feel. You know, I told you guys before, playing quarterback is like taking 1,000 pictures all at once, and you just got to build your repertoire of the pictures that you see when a ball is snapped. What are the safeties doing? What's the linebacker doing? You know, what are they more likely to do in this instance? So he continues to build his book of pictures, per se, in his mind.
That's called an album, the Book of Pictures.
There you go.
It sounds like a biblical something, the Book of Pictures. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Let's take a look at Baker Mayfield from last year, 2018, to this year, 2019. There you see it. In 18, he had, and for the full year, he had 310 receptions out of 486, almost 64% completions, 3,725 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions, and he was sacked 25 times. This year he's been sacked 33 times, 59% of completions, 3,109 yards, 15 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. Well, he's had a couple of multi-interception games, which add up.
And 2018 was what, 13, essentially 13 and a half games?
Yep.
And to this point, we're at 13 games.
Same number.
Very close to the same sample size. The glaring difference, of course, is the touchdowns.
Here's an email that was sent to us last night. We didn't get to it with Bud Shaw. And it's from Cleveland Bill. He says, I agree with Bud. We don't need Beckham, who is more a liability than an asset. Trade Beckham either for a high draft choice and draft the best college left tackle, or if possible, trade him for a good left tackle. By the way, anybody notice the highly rated Buckeyes basketball team? You got number 2 and number 3 basketball and football. How about that?
We have noticed, yes.
Do you agree with that about making a trade for an offensive tackle?
I would. I think there's too much smoke for there not to be fire in the Beckham situation, regardless of what the players and coaches tell us. And it's no reflection of Beckham the person. I just don't think that it is a good fit for this team. I don't.
Trouble follows him. He's not a troublemaker. He's a carrier.
Drama and unnecessary stuff. And he would say, well, none of it's a distraction if you don't make it a distraction. But the problem is we have no choice. When you are kicking field goals before a game and you've had a hip injury in training camp, when you're exchanging, when you're not exchanging, when you're just giving Tom Brady goat-haired cleats after he beats you,
Because he's the GOAT.
And there's the watch and all this other stuff. And if he's playing at an all-pro Hall of Fame caliber, then nobody cares about that stuff.
Right, but he's not.
The problem is he's not.
All right, let's drop away from football for 1 minute. You got a tweet from Ken Rosenthal, baseball. What does it say?
Yeah, I saw it in the general Twitterverse, and this is fascinating. Dodgers pessimistic on chances of landing free agent third baseman Anthony Rendon. Sources tell The Athletic. Rangers remain heavily involved. Angels also interested. Well, Nationals a long shot. His team, his current team,
right.
Former team, because he's a free agent. Rendon balked at deferrals in the Dodgers' initial 7-year, $210 to $215 million offer. Now that's interesting because if the Dodgers are trying to go the deferral route with Anthony Rendon,
right.
then why would they invest at least $300 million in Francisco Lindor?
Right, not deferred.
And would they do the same deferral dance with Lindor?
No, I think Lindor's going to just want the cash that I can walk into the bank
Most of these guys do, except, what's his name, Bonilla. But
Panilla's still getting paid, isn't he?
Yeah, up for at least another 10 years, I believe, or 10 or 15 years. But I thought it was striking when Ken said that Rendon balked at the deferrals. That doesn't mean the Dodgers are cash poor, but it does make you wonder how they're going to try, if they land Lindor, what they're going to try to do as far as his long-term deal.
I haven't heard. Have you heard many deals lately with deferrals? I haven't. I don't recall any of them. Where the money is deferred?
I'm sure some of it has been in all these contracts, maybe other than whatever Boris negotiates nowadays.
The guy who owns baseball?
But listen, here's the thing, too. What I want people to understand, I totally get it where the small, mid-market, mid-budget teams are fans of those teams and those cities go, hey, what is going on here? The rich get richer and the rest of us. But here's the bottom line, though. Look at the Yankees. The Yankees have won one World Series since 2000.
Yeah, but they have the opportunity to get there. Since 2000?
Yeah. They lost in 2001
to
end the dynasty, effectively end the dynasty.
Right.
And then their only other return trip, or no, maybe they had 2 return trips and lost one, but they beat the Phillies in 2009.
Right.
With Girardi. That's it. That's their only. So it's not that the Yankees win every year. We know the Dodgers.
But they have the opportunity to get there.
Exactly. But there is no guarantee that even if you hoard all the chess pieces and your payroll is through the roof, that you're going to win it all. I'm not saying it's any easier to stomach when your star player goes to a large market. I'm simply saying it doesn't guarantee World Series titles.
For the Indians fans, I just hope he goes to the National League. I don't need to see him 18 times a year.
That's true. And by the way, speaking of seeing 18 times a year, I don't like what the White Sox are doing. And,
well, you would if you were a White Sox fan.
Yeah, I don't like it because they're getting awfully close to being right there at the top of the division.
I don't know if they have the pitching, but they're loaded offensively.
And they just got Mazzara reportedly. So this team is coming, and when they get here and when they are contenders, I think they're going to stay a while because they're young and loaded.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can go to Tri-C, which offers more than 1,000 courses and over 140 career and technical programs. Go to tri-c.edu for more information. When we come back, we'll check out the Browns and the Cardinals. That preview comes your way in a moment. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
Let's take a look at this state. Well, the birthdays we'll take a look at. Bill Nicholson, a Hall of Famer, born in 1914. Rob a bank, 1947. That's where the money is. Willie McGinnis, former Brown. Sharif Abdur-Rahim, Jacoby Brissett, and Malcolm Brogdon, all born on the 11th of December. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. This portion of More Sports and Les-Levine brought to you by Northeast Factory Direct. What are you doing? This date in sports history. December 11th, 1951, Joe DiMaggio announces his retirement from the Yankees, but the Yanks won't miss a beat. A guy named Mickey Mantle ready to step in center field and play it for a while. I wish I could have seen him before he got hurt.
Yeah.
He got.
I wish I could have seen him, period.
Never saw him, right?
No.
Pretty exciting guy, and he twisted his ankle in a faucet at Yankee Stadium in the World Series against the Dodgers in 51. And he twisted his ankle and never was the same. And as fast as he was even faster before that. What a player. They started him as a shortstop. That was never going to work. 216-575-0403. All right, so the Browns have a game on Sunday against they don't play the Cardinals very often. The Cardinals at one time were one of the, back in the 60s and 70s, one of the main teams they played all the time. A lot of people don't realize that it wasn't Pittsburgh that was the rival of the Browns. It was the New York Giants back in the day. Some great games between those two franchises. But let's take a look at the offense for the Cardinals. They got a new coach, familiar to Baker-Mayfield. Ranking 22nd in the league, 20.9 points per game, 324 yards per game. That's 24th. Same thing with passing yardage. They're 15th in rush yardage per game, and then 12 turnovers, tied for the third fewest. That's kind of interesting. They aren't very good in a lot of places, but they don't turn the ball over. Now we look at the other side, the defense, see what's going on there. The defensive numbers ranking 30th in points per game, 28.8. Yards per game, 414. That's last in the league. So is the pass yardage that they give up, almost 300 yards a game. Rushing yardage, 120. And turnovers, 14, which is tied for 26. So, D-Man, you look at those numbers. What do you think you want to attack?
Well, I mean, pretty much anything you want. I think that the more glaring number is 6, is the losing streak that the Cardinals are on. They were at one point 3-3-1. They're now 3-9-1. They could have beaten Pittsburgh, though.
Yeah,
and that's why with Dave Bacon on our other show, I think the Cardinals will win this game and effectively end the Browns' ultra slim playoff hopes.
Why do you think they'll win?
Because I think the Browns' defense is going to have a difficult time with Kyler Murray. The Steelers' defense was able to do some things against Murray because it has such an ability to rush the passer and it has so much speed. The Browns are lacking the ability to rush the passer, and they are lacking the overall defensive speed, and I think Murray can create plays as a result.
Well, here's Murray, 293 completions, 457 attempts, 3,060 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions, and he's also carried the ball a total of 77 times. Help me out on this. We got our hands full fixing the Browns' problems. Tell me why Larry Fitzgerald, who arguably is the second best receiver, would you say he's the second best receiver in history behind Jerry Rice?
I mean,
maybe third,
case.
something like that. Why didn't they pack it? It seems to me that they're just not. The Cardinals aren't that good, and they could have packaged him somewhere along the line to get either players or draft picks.
Right, but you wonder, what did Fitzgerald say? You know, out of deference to him, did they say, you know what, Larry, do you want to stay? You want to ride it out here? He
probably said, I'll ride it out.
So who knows what the negotiations were there, or the talks were like there. But Arizona, it's an interesting team. It was certainly interesting at 3-3-1.
Right.
First year under Kingsbury and Murray, and you're thinking, okay, there's going to be maybe a continued arc in the positive direction.
Correct.
And instead
it
6 straight losses.
By the way, you mentioned the other show with Dave Bacon. That's the Weekend Winners on More Sports and Les-Levine, seen on Fridays, and that's brought to us by Presque Isle Park in Erie, Pennsylvania, just an hour from downtown Cleveland. 216-575-0403. Let's take a look at the running backs for the Arizona Cardinals, see what they've accomplished. You've got two of them, Kenyon Drake and David Johnson. And Drake 5 games, Johnson 11. There you see the carries, only 3 touchdowns between the two on the ground. That's not a lot.
No, and Drake, of course, they got from the Dolphins. I expect more out of what the Cardinals have available offensively. I expect.
Well, you think
them to
Kingsbury is still learning the game, the pro game?
Oh, sure. I mean, you can't decide anything with Kingsbury or Murray yet.
In 1 year. All right, so let's look at the wide receivers. I mentioned Larry Fitzgerald. There you go. Fitzgerald and Christian Kirk. And 90 targets for Fitzgerald, 87 for Kirk. It's pretty even, obviously. Yards, Fitzgerald just under 700, just over 600 for Kirk. 3 touchdowns apiece. So they're not putting up a lot of points.
We know Fitzgerald is a legend, as you said, but those two guys should not have more touchdowns than Odell Beckham Jr.
No, I would agree with that. Chandler Jones, this season 40 tackles, 32 of them solo tackles, 7 for losses, 14 sacks. How about that?
The former Patriot. That's another one of many who got his money, and Belichick's like, okay, go ahead.
There's the door.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not paying you. So
216-575-0403 is the number to call. The D-man, Dennis-Manoloff, is with us. He'll be on. When will you be on 1100 WTAM?
Friday night, full show,
night?
7 to 11. One of the guests will be our friend Phil Bova.
Phil, great guy. He's got a great book out there.
His book about his refereeing days, but of course the most famous game he was involved in, Knight's chair throwing.
He wasn't throwing at him, by the way. He was throwing at
Steve
one
Reed.
of the others. Yeah. 216-575-0403. Northeast Factory Direct. 3 great locations in addition to the website, which is northeastfactorydirect.com. You got east and west as well as south. And West 140th Street on the west side of Cleveland, Lakeland Boulevard. That's the old B&B Appliance building. And then Freeway Drive. That's in Macedonia. Check them all out. And you're going to pay a lot less there than you're going to pay anywhere else. Why? Because they save on their rent. They pay about 1/10 what the big box stores pay, and they pass the savings directly on to you. One of the great businesses in all of Northeast Ohio, it's Northeast Factory Direct with Alex Nemeth running the show there. Sokolowski's University Inn. If you give them a call first, they're not open right now, but if you call them in the morning, you want to get in on the wine tasting event for this Sunday, that's where you can go. It's 216-771-9236. Reserve your seat. It's an unforgettable holiday wine tasting featuring Wente wines and Christmas carols by the talented Gaetano Parks and traditional Sokolowski delights. It's a great event at Sokolowski's University Inn. 3 courses plus dessert and wine tasting all night long. You can't beat it. We'll take a break. We'll come back in a moment. We'll take a look at our Facebook question of the day. And how come quickies a little bit later? More Sports and Les-Levine. See it exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get your garage ready for the holidays.
We had some cracks in the floor. We needed to enhance the beauty of it. That's when we called Nature Stone.
Nature Stone corrects uneven concrete, so you don't have to worry about tripping or slipping. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. For a limited time, get Nature's Stone installed now and pay nothing until next year. Payments as low as $99 a month. No interest, no down payment. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature's Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
We stayed in Les-Levine history, going together with the Joe DiMaggio retirement December 11th, 1991. Alex Cole announces his retirement from the Indians around 40 years after DiMaggio. Unfortunately, nobody noticed. Remember they changed the whole stadium, the municipal stadium for Alex Cole. He had
The
one
Great
good
Wall
year.
of Cleveland.
It was a trapezoid.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. All right, let's take a look at our responses to our question of the day. What does Freddie Kitchens have to do to keep his job? D-Man, you got a one-liner is what he has to do? Because I don't think just winning the games is the answer.
Beg,
borrow, and steal. Rick May says he has to agree to have an offensive coordinator calling the plays. Freddie had too much on his plate for a first-year coach. The fact that he beat Pittsburgh and Baltimore probably earned him a mulligan next year. Lawrence Butler, he's not earned his keep, and he should be replaced. The team appears to have young talent, and it's time to hire a first-rate veteran coach to lead them, Ron Rivera. Glenn Berger, you want to see Ron Rivera here?
Ron Rivera, yes.
The team has to show, this is Glenn Berger, has to show improvement, especially offensively over the last 3 games. He will survive if the team finishes the season at 8-8. Kevin Quinby went out at the very least. He had better hope the team, and then he better hope the team doesn't give up on him. Chris Hart says, win the Super Bowl this year. Yeah, that would do it.
My sense is that, and I think I said this on last week's show, my sense is that Dorsey is going to give Kitchens a mulligan. He's going to hit the reset button on this season, or this team, and say, all right, come back next year and do it right this time. That said, if the Browns go to the Cardinals and look bad, then come home to Baltimore, at home against Baltimore, and Baltimore dump trucks them, then all
even
bets
with
are off of that
Jackson may be sitting that night.
Still.
Even more so.
I mean, yeah, if Robert Griffin III comes in and lights you up, I mean, I'm not saying that I don't think, or I'm not saying I think that Dorsey hasn't made up his mind already.
Do you think this choice is Dorsey's or Haslam, based on everything that has happened?
I think that the Haslams have given the control over to John Dorsey and said, John, you make the right call. I think it will be up to John Dorsey to decide whether Kitchens is retained.
Did you hear Jason Lockenfora today from CBS Sports on 92.3 The Fan?
I did not.
He's talking about dee-haslam wearing the 95 hat, the Beckham, the Myles Garrett hat, saying that should be looked upon as an embarrassment around the league.
I agree with him. I said it at the time. I thought it was unbecoming of an owner of a franchise to do that, especially when, as you pointed out, Les, Myles Garrett is extremely lucky that he did not concuss Mason Rudolph with that swing. Or worse, crack his skull, something like that. So for the owner to be in solidarity for a guy who's being suspended indefinitely. And
especially when they got fined as much as they got fined, the Haslams.
Yeah, and I've said this too. If dee-haslam thinks that by doing that she's going to somehow get a hometown discount from Myles Garrett, she's sadly mistaken.
No, she doesn't understand
Players
the business
don't
if
care
that's
about
the
that.
case. 216-575-0403. Tomorrow night, Jeff Shudell will join us. We have the voicemail of Truth and Reason. If you can't get into the show or call into the show when we do it live from 6 to 7 Eastern Time, you can call anytime. Leave us a message. We'll use the best messages in a future show. It's the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, as well as Saturday and Sunday evening with a post time 6 p.m. But this Saturday, how about this? Santa Sack Appreciation Night. You'll have a chance to win some great prizes, including cash, gift cards, electronics, concert tickets, big screen TVs, and much more, and a visit with Santa from 6 to 9 p.m. That's at Northfield Park, your home for live and simulcast racing. Free admission, free parking every day. We'll come back in a moment. We'll take a look at some emails and some How Come Quickies and more with D-Man Dennis-Manoloff. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get your basement ready for the holidays.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature's Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. For a limited time, get Nature's Stone installed now and pay nothing until next year. Payments as low as $99 a month. No interest, no down payment. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature's Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
All right, as I mentioned, Jeff Shudell will join us. That'll be tomorrow. You know, the coaches here, football coaches, they officially get upset when Jeff Shudell asks them a question they don't like.
Jeff's, he's a legend in the Cleveland media. He's been around for forever, and he continues to do great work.
All right, that'll be tomorrow night from 6 until 7 Eastern Time, and that is when we do the live show. Time for some How Come Quickies. By the way, you can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine with new content posted each and every day. The D-Man will be on WTAM 1100 from 7 until 11. That'll be on Friday night. I'll be on 92.3 The Fan tomorrow from 10 until 2, as well as Friday from 10 until 2. Now, Toledo Mike has become getting into the hunt here as a prolific How Come Quickie sender. You going to grade him? You ready to do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I have enough paper. I'll just do my hands.
Oh, there's paper down here.
I'll do my hands.
Oh, all right. That'll be cool. Toledo Mike says, how come I couldn't figure out how to fasten my seatbelt, but then it clicked? I don't know what that means.
7.
7? Okay. Toledo Mike comes back with this one. How come a fly without wings is called a walk? So you can't fly.
Yeah, and baseball.
Just announce it. I can't read it.
7.5.
7.5. Toledo
Made me
Mike.
think.
Toledo Mike comes in with this one.
Toledo Mike.
How come an arrested mime has a right to remain silent?
Not going there.
This one is unbelievable.
Not going there.
This one is unbelievable.
Okay.
Hey, Les, how come I can't come up with a quickie? Cheers from the control room. It's Alex, the guy who just brought in the quickies. He gets a 10. We can't give out 10s. Well, if you give out 10s,
9.9.
Yeah, they'll just tip their cap and not come back with
quickies.
quickies.
Alex is the man.
John Van Ashtabula says, how come the Optimus blood type was B negative?
9.
That's a good one. It's a good one. John Patrick comes in with this one. I think. I'll let you know in a minute if he did or he didn't.
By the way, I've got one.
Yeah, vamp a little
Simmering.
bit. Yeah. Oh, simmering?
Percolating, I should say.
Well, you may have to use a couple of them if I can. These are stuck together. Ah, there you go. John Patrick. How come the cannibal who was late for dinner got the cold shoulder?
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine 4 hours of this on radio tomorrow?
Oh, my gosh.
Big Ed. Haven't heard from Big Ed in a while. How come when I told my doctor about my short-term memory loss, he made me pay in advance?
9.
How come I never believed my dad was stealing from his road crew job until I came home one night and all the signs were there?
9. Tremendous. If this is a tune-up for your show in a couple days.
Mr. Gullible, how come the ruler is king of all school supplies? How come oysters won't share their pearls because they are shellfish? Selfish.
8.5.
8.5. Mr. Gullible, you can't write me and complain. I use them every time I get them in time. I got yelled. You ever feel that you're yelled at on email?
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Gullible has a way of
plenty
doing
of
that
times.
to me. Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Gullible. I mean, the guy's name is Mr. Gullible. It's not Mr. Smith.
I have my modified quickie.
All right, what do you have? And then I need a final comment from you.
How come you can't dig yourself out of a hole?
Wow.
That doesn't have the pun.
No, but
it's got an element to the
thinkable.
how come quickie.
It's thinkable. All right. By the time we meet next week.
Yes. How many guys will be traded?
Do you think Lindor will be with another team under
Yes,
contract?
I do.
By this time next week?
Yes.
Whoa.
I think there's too much smoke now.
You wanna
too far down the
take
tracks.
a guess as what team we're talking about?
The Dodgers. They'll work it out because I think they're going to punt on Rendon, and Rendon walked on him.
Right.
And now they want to get a stud, and Lindor, in keeping with the deferral element of it, perhaps the Dodgers are thinking.
Who would have thought the Dodgers would need to defer money?
Exactly. That's why it was so puzzling to me. But now, if you get Lindor, in your minds, you've deferred his first 2 years because.
Yeah, he's on the cheap, sort of.
Yeah, relatively cheap.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to continue to press on Lindor and eventually land him.
By the time spring training starts, will Corey Kluber will he show up with the Indians?
That's a fantastic question. I really do wonder. I think you're right. I think they want to move him, but if I'm another team, I've got to see him healthy first. So I'm going to.
No, but he is cheap in their. Now you see what Garrett Cole
for the rest
did.
of the world.
To the rest of the world.
But
what Strasburg
you
did.
still haven't seen him come back from his injury.
No, you don't know.
And therefore, I think you have to wait until he pitches for the Indians in 2020 before he gets moved.
Yeah, at least 2 months worth, right? One would think.
Yes.
All right, that'll do it for us. The great D-man, Dennis-manoloff. How'd you do on picks last week in the Plain Dealer, cleveland.com?
A decidedly average 7-7-2.
That's a win.
Although for me, that feels
That's a win as far as I'm
feels
concerned.
beaucoup.
That'll do it for us. D-man, catch him on 1100 WTM on Friday night.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see you in the morning, 10 to 2 on 92.3 The Fan. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.